Welcome to our 2024 College Career Indicator presentation from the Accountability, Development, and Policy Analysis Unit here at the California Department of Education. I'm Catherine Morrissey and will be co-presenting with Michael Ishimoto. In this session, we will cover a short top-level review of the dashboard and a more in-depth review of the College Career Indicator. For the 2024 dashboard, the California Department of Education is releasing a series of on-demand sessions, which will be short, accessible videos which can be accessed at any time and will cover each of the state indicators in more detail, plus some other accountability information. Today's agenda includes an overview of the California School Dashboard, which we will refer to as the dashboard from here on out. Then we will cover all things College Career Indicator, or CCI. Next, we will review a few frequently asked questions, followed by the general rules about the dashboard that may be helpful for you to keep in mind, and finally, how to go about contacting us with any and all of your dashboard questions. Now I'll pass it off to Michael to take us through a quick overview of the dashboard.
First, let's start with an overview of the dashboard. The dashboard is an online tool designed to help communities across the state access important information about kindergarten through grade 12. The dashboard reports how districts and schools are performing on multiple state and local indicators that make up California's accountability system. The dashboard displays performance on 7 state indicators: academic, which includes measures for both English language arts and literacy, or ELA, and mathematics; English learner progress; chronic absenteeism; graduation rate; suspension rate; college/career; and finally, science. For these state indicators, the measurement of performance for local education agencies, or LEAs, schools, and student groups on the dashboard is done by looking at 2 years of data. Status or current year data and change, which is the comparison between the current and prior year's data. It's the combination of status and change that determines color performance on the dashboard. Performance is indicated on the dashboard by a gauge with 5 segments of different colors. Each level displays an arrow pointing to one of the 5 colors. The color ranges from red, which represents the lowest performance, to orange, yellow, green, and then blue, which represents the highest performance. The College Career Indicator is back. Last year, the CCI only had 1 year of data and it was reported out as status only with no performance color. For the 2024 dashboard, as we now have 2 years of data, performance levels or colors will be displayed. So how will the CCI appear on the dashboard this year? First, you will find a Learn More button, which will display information on the CCI. Under that will be information for the College Career Indicator. There will be 2 buttons. The All Students button will display information for the LEA or school. The State button will display information for the state. These buttons should be used to compare the results for the LEA or school and the state. Well, much like other indicators, the card with a color is returning. This means it will have the colored banner across the top of the card as well as the performance level or color in the form of the gauge with the color explicitly written out. In the example that you see here, the gauge is pointing to the color green. The current year status is listed at 68.9% prepared. The card indicates whether the status changed from the prior year. Here it shows that it maintained by 0 percentage points. Finally, the equity report at the bottom of the card shows the number of student groups in each of the performance levels or colors. Here we see that there is 1 student group in red, 0 in orange, 2 in yellow, 2 in green, and 3 in blue. Now at the very bottom of the card there is a link to view more details, which takes you to specific group information and trends in data over time as available. We will now talk about changes to the CCI. In 2023, the CCI reported the non-registered pre-apprenticeship measure for DAS, and only status was reported on the dashboard. The 2024 dashboard will report long-term English learners, non-registered pre-apprenticeship measure will not be reported, and performance colors on the dashboard will return for the first time since 2019.
Now that we know what it will look like on the dashboard, let's cover the basics of the CCI. So what is the College Career Indicator? The CCI measures how well districts and schools are preparing its graduates for college and career. It was designed to encourage high schools to provide all students with a rigorous and broad course of study that will lead to success after high school. The CCI tracks how schools and districts prepare students for college and career by looking at what students accomplish throughout their time in high school and recognizing that students pursue various options, whether completing a career technical education or CTE pathway, requirements for the University of California or California State University admission, or a course of study specifically designed to meet the student's individual interests. The CCI contains both college and career measures. The career measures that the State Board of Education has approved are registered pre-apprenticeships, state and federal jobs programs, which are specific to those schools with Dashboard Alternative School Status, or DAS, transition classroom and work-based learning experiences, which are specific for students with disabilities who earn a special education certificate of completion, career technical education, or CTE pathway, and leadership military science. College measures that the State Board has approved are the Smarter Balanced Summative Assessment, Advanced Placement or AP exams, the Met University of California, California State University requirements, which was previously known as A through G completion, International Baccalaureate or IB exams, State Seal of Biliteracy, and finally, college credit courses. The CCI contains 3 levels of preparedness: prepared, approaching prepared, and not prepared. The State Board has approved specific criteria that allow students to be placed in one of these levels based on their accomplishments during their time in high school. For additional information on the prepared and approaching prepared criteria for all the measures in the CCI, you can access the 2 CCI flyers that are identified in the associated note-taking guide. One rule to keep in mind is that to be prepared or approaching prepared, a student must be a graduate. Any student who is not a graduate is automatically placed in the not prepared level, regardless of what that student has completed during high school. Students included in the CCI are derived from the students in the graduation rate indicator. You are encouraged to access the graduation rate on demand session to learn about the calculations used to determine the graduation rate indicator. Therefore, all LEAs, schools, and student groups that have students in the 4-year graduation rate and prepared students in the 5-year graduation rate receive a CCI on the dashboard. Now back to Michael to talk about how we calculate the CCI.
To calculate CCI status for the 2024 dashboard, a rate is determined using a numerator and denominator. The numerator is the number of students who graduated prepared, or the total number of students in the class of 2024 who graduated in 4 years and met the prepared criteria, plus total number of students in the class of 2023 who graduated in 5 years and met the prepared criteria. The denominator is the total number of students in the 2023-24 4-year graduation rate and prepared students in the 5-year graduation rate. All of this has been provided to you in the note-taking guide. Now to determine a performance level or color for the CCI and for all state indicators on the dashboard, a 5x5 table is used. The top row represents change from the prior year. The change levels are declined significantly, declined, maintained, increased, and increased significantly. The first column shows status levels, indicating performance in the most current year. Status levels include very high, high, medium, low, and very low. The intersection of status and change results are used to determine the final performance level or color for an LEA, school, or student group. For the CCI 5x5 table, in order to receive a blue performance level, an LEA school or student group would need one of the following combinations: a status of very high and a change level of either maintained, increased, or increased significantly, or a status of high and a change level of increased significantly. To receive a green performance level, an LEA school or student group would need a status of very high with a change of declined, a status of high with a change of maintained or increased, or a status of medium with a change of increased or increased significantly. To receive a yellow performance level, you would need a status of high and a change of decline significantly, a status of high with a change of declined, a status of medium with a change of maintained, a status of low with a change of increased or increased significantly, or a status of very low with a change of increased significantly. For an orange performance level, you would need a status of high with a change of decline significantly, a status of medium with a change of decline significantly or declined, a status of low with a change of declined or maintained, or a status of very low and a change of increased. Finally, an LEA or school or student group would receive a red performance level with a status of low and a change of decline significantly, or a status of very low and a change of decline significantly, declined, or maintained. So what happens when the count of students are small? To limit large swings in the change data that can be triggered by just a few students, the State Board of Education approved the application of a 3x5 color table when the student population size is less than 150. As you can see from this 3x5 table, the two most outer change columns increase significantly and decline significantly, seen in the traditional 5x5 have been removed, leaving only declined, maintained, and increased. However, the same 5 status levels that we saw earlier in the 5x5 table are still utilized, and they are very high, high, medium, low, and very low. Therefore, to receive a blue performance level on the 3x5 table, an LEA school or student group would need one of the following combinations: a very high status and a change level of either maintained or increased. To receive a green performance level, an LEA school or student group would need a status of very high and a change of declined, a status of high with a change of maintained or increased, or a status of medium with a change of increased. To receive a yellow performance level would require a status of high with a change of declined, a status of medium with a change of maintained, or a status of low with a change of increased. For an orange performance level, you would need a status of medium with a change of declined, a status of low with a change of declined or maintained, or a status of very low and a change of increased. Finally, an LEA school or student group would receive a red performance level with a status of very low and a change of declined or maintained. Before the CCI is published, did you know that you can verify the measures in your CCI before these data are extracted out for use for the dashboard? Specifically, LEAs can validate the CCI data that are submitted prior to the close of the California Longitudinal Pupil Achievement Data System, or CalPADS certification window by reviewing the following: CalPADS Reports 3.19 and 3.20 for Career Technical Education, or CTE pathway completers. CalPADS Reports 3.10 and 3.11 for college credit and leadership military science. And finally, reports 15.1 and 15.2 for the following measures: met UC CSU requirements, state seal of biliteracy, pre-apprenticeships, state or federal jobs program, and transition work-based experience / transition classroom-based work exploration. The note-taking guide contains a link to the 2023-24 handbook that details how you can access these CalPADS reports. Keep in mind the remaining CCI measures are collected outside of CalPADS from test vendors. They are advanced placement exams collected from the College Board, IB exams collected from IB, Smarter Balanced summative assessments collected from testing vendor ETS. The CCI measures will be reported in additional reports as it has in past years. This report will be coming in spring of 2025.
Next, let's cover some of the most frequently asked questions. These represent some of the most common questions we receive throughout the year that we thought would be helpful to review together. The first question is, how many years of data are used for the CCI? Up to 5 years of data from grades 9 through 12 are used. That means if a student graduated in 4 years, then we use the last 4 years of data to identify what a student accomplished. If the student graduated in 5 years, then the last 5 years of data are used. The next question we get asked often is about Dashboard Alternative School Status, or DAS schools, and whether the DAS one-year graduation rate is used to calculate the CCI. Due to the U.S. Department of Education's denial of California's waiver to continue using modified methods for accountability, the DAS one-year graduation rate can no longer be used. Beginning with the 2022 dashboard, the combined 4 and 5-year graduation rate is now used for the graduation rate indicator and therefore is used as the denominator for the CCI for all schools, including DAS. Next, we get a lot of questions about how college credit is counted in the CCI. If the college course is offered within your course catalog and entered into CalPADS as a college credit course, then that would be included in CCI. If a student takes a college course independently and on their own, and it is a course that is not included in your course catalog or CalPADS, that would not count as college credit for the CCI. Finally, we have also seen a lot of questions about CTE pathways that simultaneously offer college credit. In order to be prepared on the CCI through the completion of a CTE pathway, an LEA or school must show that a student has completed both a pathway as well as meet the Smarter Balanced Assessment criteria or take an additional college credit course. CTE college courses used to meet a CTE pathway criteria cannot also count for the college credit criteria of the CCI. This concludes our specific review for the CCI. If you would like additional information, we've provided some resources in the note-taking guide, such as the California Department of Education, or CDE's, CCI webpage. This webpage will take you from A to Z on everything you need to know about this state indicator. It has links to flyers and cut scores and anything else you might need. On this page, you'll also find a link to the 2024 technical guide, where there is a specific mini guide on the CCI. We also have a School Dashboard Additional Reports webpage where districts and schools can find information on the CCI that is more specific than the data found on the dashboard. For example, you can find the number and percent of students who are included in each measure and under the prepared, approaching prepared, and not prepared levels. While this completes the CCI specific portion of the presentation, there are some general rules regarding the dashboard we would like to share. So here's Michael to take us through those.
Now let's walk through some general rules about the dashboard. First, we want to clarify a rule about charter schools that is unique to the dashboard. Because charter schools are treated as LEAs under the Local Control Funding Formula, or LCFF, their data are not included in their authoriser's dashboard report. This includes both direct and locally funded charters. Next, we want to review what the accountability end size thresholds are and how they will be displayed on the 2024 dashboard. If the end size is 30 or more students in the denominator, then the CCI is reported on the dashboard along with status and change data. There is an option to select the student group or compare it to the state student group results. In the card seen here for the all student group, the performance level or color is green with the gauge pointing to the green color. The card shows that 50.1% prepared in the current year and that the student group had an increase of 2.6 percentage points from the prior year. The number of students or end size is 527. If any LEA school or student group has 30 or more students in the denominator, they will be held accountable for differentiated assistance at the LEA level and targeted support and improvement, or TSI, at the school level. Next, we'll review when the end size is between 11 to 29 students in the denominator. For the sample Filipino student group card provided, only status and change data are reported on the dashboard. There is an option to select the student group or compare it to the state student group results as well. The card displays that 72.7% of the students were prepared, and they had an increase of 18.9 percentage points. The number of students or N size is 11, and because this is between 11 to 29 students, the card will display no performance color with a grayed out gauge. For any reporting of 11 to 29 students in the denominator, the LEA school or student group is not held accountable for differentiated assistance at the LEA level and TSI at the school level. Finally, if the N size is less than 11 students in the denominator, then no data are reported on the dashboard to protect students' privacy. There is an option to select the student group or compare it to the state student group results as well. Now, as you can find in this card for the Students with Disabilities student group, because there are 5 students, the card displays a no performance level with a grayed out gauge and will not display data for privacy reasons. Additionally, any LEA school or student group with less than 11 students in the denominator is not held accountable for differentiated assistance at the LEA level and TSI at the school level. There are, however, N size threshold exceptions to the rules. They apply to foster youth homeless and the new long-term English learner LTELS student groups, as their N size thresholds are different at the LEA and school levels. At the district or LEA level, there must be 15 or more students in the denominator to be reported on the dashboard and held accountable. At the school level, there must be 30 or more students in the denominator to be reported on the dashboard and held accountable. For this exception, charter schools are treated as schools, not LEAs. Therefore, charter schools will need 30 or more students in the denominator for the foster youth, homeless, or LTEL student groups to be held accountable. And finally, the District of Special Education Accountability, or DSEA. The DSEA rule is applied to all available state indicators for students with disabilities who receive special education services at another district or county office of education. These students are sent back to the District of Residence, or DSEA, and are included in the DSEA's dashboard. For example, a district where the student geographically resides is held accountable for students' CCI outcomes, and the data is included in the District of Residence CCI. Please note that this rule applies to LEAs only. All schools, including charter schools, are held accountable for all students with disabilities. This rule has been applied since 2017 for the academic indicators and the 2020 reporting of the graduation rate and CCI data on the CDE School Dashboard Additional Reports website. It was applied for all indicators starting on the 2022 dashboard. For more information, refer to the District of Special Education Accountability Rule for Students with Disabilities flyer on the Dashboard Communications Toolkit website.
If you are interested in contacting us regarding any of the information we've covered about the California School Dashboard, we are just an email away. Our email address is dashboard@cde.ca.gov. We also invite you to follow us on X at CDE Dashboard. And that concludes this on-demand session for the California School Dashboard. Thank you so much for tuning in.